This AAA gaming industry is quickly evolving. In the last few decades, it has become a dominant, multi-billion-dollar entertainment field, with fortunately some heroes emerging, but many villains thriving here in present day. Of course, maybe that sounds a bit cynical or even childish to refer to gaming's giant corporations as heroes or villains, but in all honesty, that's the simplest way of describing most of these companies. Actions speak louder than words. Some of these gaming companies have innovated, inspired, and done phenomenal things years ago, but sadly over time the souls of these companies have been flushed away and have been replaced with greedy business suits of mediocrity that only care for the next stupid trend that they can jump on to make a quick buck. So, speaking of beloved companies having their soul and identity stomped on by corporate America, let's once again discuss Blizzard Entertainment, who is attempting to move on from the recent Warcraft 3 Reforged disaster, which basically saw the company facing yet another revolt. Blizzard has done a good job trying to minimize or downplay the widespread frustration and outrage, but it has not worked at all. Gamers are seeing right through the BS and have rallied together to at the very least protest the horrendous release of Warcraft 3 Reforged, which included bugs, missing features, cut content, false advertising, and much more. But as I stated in a recent video, times are changing. Activision's influence has taken over. That's clear now, and it has destroyed the Blizzard that so many fell in love with. Today we are going to break down how Activision Blizzard is once again betraying longtime fans, embracing and following the money, preparing a future in which many will be left behind and disappointed. Additionally, we also are going to go over IGN spreading misinformation, CD Projekt Red being slammed in a slanderous, disgusting article that also took a shot at me, and a former BioWare veteran exposing exactly what is wrong with modern-day EA BioWare, and likely Blizzard Entertainment. So a lot to discuss, but as usual, if you do go on to enjoy this content and want to show your support for gaming coverage like this, please consider hitting that like button, subscribing for more, and turning notifications on so you do not miss out on any new videos. Nonetheless, it feels like it was ages ago just because of all the other chaos that has come about in recent memory, but the Diablo Immortal controversy was a truly defining moment. I don't know if beginning of the end is the correct phrase to use, because the true beginning of the end came when Activision merged with Vivendi Games in 2008, in which they gained control of Blizzard and renamed the parent company to Activision Blizzard. Although even following this deal, Blizzard held on to autonomy, but slowly over time, CEO Bobby Kotick and the corporate Activision culture has seeped into and taken over old school Blizzard. At least in the public's eye, Diablo Immortal was the start of things changing. And since then, with two of Blizzard's founders calling it quits and all of the other chaos that has ensued, it has become clear that old Blizzard is no more, and right now modern day Blizzard is up there as the laughingstock of this industry.
Alright, so Telling Lies is nominated tonight. Have you played Telling Lies?
Of course.
Alright. It's about Blizzard making Warcraft 3 Reforged.
Sure.
I'm sorry, I can't hear you over the sound of Blizzard censoring everybody. Too soon? Too much? Too much?
No, just enough.
For those unaware, that mini roast actually came from Jessica Chobot at the video game industry's DICE Awards show. Chobot is best known for her work at IGN and Nerdist. But yeah, she certainly landed both of those punches directed at Blizzard's two recent controversies. Anyway, this has become a consistent thing that I've said about Bethesda and BioWare, and I'm starting to think I'll be saying this just as much with Blizzard. But what is next? There inevitably will be another disaster to strike. The question is just when. Interestingly, some news that went under the radar from Activision Blizzard's recent investor call was the revelation of mobile gaming revenue now outpacing both console and PC. That stat is concerning because these companies, especially Activision, do not ignore trends like that. They embrace them, and actually during the investor call numerous times executives hyped up the future of mobile games and how Blizzard would support that. First we have CEO Bobby Kotick stating, "Mobile in fact is now our leading platform. The business model for Call of Duty Mobile is free to play, which enables the rapid development of large community of players with the option to purchase digital items and services, as well as our ability to generate advertising revenues. So we successfully developed great games through mobile. Our franchises have the power to attract far bigger audiences than previously. We are hard at work on high quality mobile games for all of our most important franchises. Now understand, on the Activision side of things, outside of Call of Duty, there really are not many huge franchises, which essentially means get ready for Warcraft, Starcraft, and Overwatch Mobile. Later on in the investor call, COO Cody Johnson would reveal, as for our third pillar, extending our acclaimed console and PC franchises to mobile, the October launch of Call of Duty Mobile was one of the most successful in the industry's history, driving Activision Publishing to records among the active users. It also highlighted the opportunity for other large franchises to reach hundreds of millions of new players once they expand on the mobile. And lastly, CEO Bobby Kotick would be asked about their mobile strategy moving forward. He would respond saying, when I think about mobile overall for Blizzard, we have our roots in PC gaming, and we're going to continue to be deeply committed to the PC, but we do think there are opportunities for additional experiences and in different ways for players to engage on different kinds of devices, and we see mobile is also a way to attract players that we don't currently reach on PC and consoles, so we think about the mobile opportunity for Blizzard overall as very substantial, and Diablo Immortal will be our first release as a mobile first game, and we continue to work on multiple mobile initiatives across Blizzard in addition to the PC and console games. Kotick would also give further praise for Diablo Immortal, declaring that internal tests have been encouraging, and based on last year's BlizzCon, there was tons of excitement for the updated version apparently. Also, for those unaware, Bobby Kotick has less morals than the snake oil salesman. Kotick, if he could, would sell his own soul if, he had one, but he doesn't, so following what makes the most money is what this industry loves doing. Obviously, when saying something like that, the immediate thought is Fortnite, Battle Royales, Battle Passes, live services, and maybe even loot boxes, but I mean, let's take it a step further. You have gaming companies not even bothering to make games anymore, because they found something more profitable, and yes, I'm referring to the sad state of affairs that is Konami, who is all in on gambling slot machines right now. Which, I mean, at least this is one AAA gaming company that is being honest with themselves, showing that they'd much rather build and support an actual online casino rather than an actual high-quality gaming experience. But continuing on, another piece of news surrounding Activision Blizzard that caught some attention was Activision Blizzard pulling all of its games off of Nvidia's GeForce Now streaming service. As Polygon wrote in their article, without any warning, Nvidia announced in a forum post last week that Activision Blizzard was yanking all of its games off of GeForce Now. The list, which amounts to 20 titles, includes 10 different Call of Duty games from 2007's Call of Duty 4 Modern Warfare through 2019's Call of Duty Modern Warfare, along with other Activision published games such as Sekiro, Shadows Die Twice, and beloved Blizzard titles like Hearthstone and Overwatch. Later in a statement to Bloomberg, Nvidia explained that because Activision participated in the beta test for the service, Nvidia thought that the agreement extended to the initial trial period after GeForce's February 4th launch. Activision Blizzard has been a fantastic partner during the GeForce Now beta, which we took to include the free trial period for our founders' membership. Recognizing this misunderstanding, we removed their games from our service with hope that we can work with them to re-enable these and more in the future. See, the issue with this explanation and what muddles the situation is Activision Blizzard's recent partnership with Google. Many are wondering if an exclusivity streaming deal of sorts for Google Stadia could be on the way, which again, this industry is all about following the money, so this kinda does make sense, and it could be what's probably happening in the near future. To start 2020 though, very much like last year, Activision Blizzard is embroiled in chaos, and I don't mean just the Blizzard side of things, because even the Activision side with Modern Warfare has faced its own set of issues these last few weeks, whether that be frustrating bugs and exploits going unresolved, a rank reset bug which doomed the game for a period of time, players being permabanned for accidentally being glitched into the game's secret Battle Royale mode menu, not very secret anymore, and cannot ignore the insanity surrounding the game's file sizes. Although of course Blizzard has pretty much overshadowed overshadowed all gaming news with Warcraft 3 Reforged and the disaster surrounding that release. But next we move on to the recent attack that was directed at CD Projekt Red, Cyberpunk 2077, and myself. Yes, myself. Now, as most of you have seen over the last number of months, we've gone over many of these articles, and this one was just a little bit more outrageous, especially since it takes a direct shot at my content, but it's pretty darn slanderous and pretty darn disgusting, but this is what the gamer is known for. This is a company that I've called out before for stealing another YouTuber's own gameplay without giving credit, and they also tried taking a shot at me in 2018 with Red Dead by pretty much spreading misinformation about a video I made. But here they are again, taking a swipe for some reason. The article is titled, "It's Time to Stop Worshipping CD Projekt Red." Following the release of The Witcher 3, CD Projekt Red has been lionized by RPG fans and the gaming industry alike. But do they really deserve it? And actually, the URL for this is CD Projekt Red overrated, so we already know where this opinion is headed. And they also include this thumbnail, which again, yes, it's directed at my content, although I haven't exactly been 100% positive about everything CD Projekt Red has done, so okay. And also, I do find it interesting, the thumbnails that they use, because some of the articles and trash that has been written about CD Projekt Red is slanderous, just like this article. But one specific thumbnail that they use in this graphic of trying to say CD Projekt Red is wrongly worshipped is a video that I made all the way back around E3 2019, in which gaming outlet Rock Paper Shotgun basically accused CD Projekt Red of bigotry with Cyberpunk 2077. What that resulted in was the Cyberpunk founder Mike Pondsmith, a black guy, defending CDPR and Cyberpunk 2077, and what that resulted in was the founder of Rock Paper Shotgun taking a direct shot at Mike Pondsmith, basically a white guy calling out a black guy saying he should be offended by this. That's really been the state of Cyberpunk 2077 outrage, a bunch of misleading accounts and just a lot of BS. But let's dive into this article. Basically, the first two paragraphs are just saying that CD Projekt Red, a lot of people like them because of The Witcher 3. And then let's get into the absurd parts. It says, The Witcher 3 is not a bad game. It's an objectively good game, actually, but it's not necessarily revolutionary as an RPG. Well, that's one way to look at it. You got a game within a game, Gwent, and I would argue that the whole Witcher franchise was a masterpiece, but that's just me. I'm not going to argue with this. That's whatever. Even if it was, it's premature to exalt a game studio based on one big hit. Okay. If the only issue with CD Projekt Red was that they have an unusually large fandom for the one popular game that they've released, there would be no issue. After all, other RPG developers like Blizzard or Bethesda have large dedicated fan bases, and they receive backlash every time they have a censorship scandal or buggy update. Yet CDPR has been seemingly canonized to the point where they cannot receive criticism. Have they not been paying attention the last number of months with the whole outrage over Cyberpunk 2077 gender or the decision not to have a third-person mode? There's been enough criticism, and any scandals that they have are defended by their fans. Well, there's also the whole monetization crap with Cyberpunk 2077's standalone multiplayer mode, or whatever that's going to be. I guess we're just going to ignore that because we have to make this article and we have to make it as outrageous as possible to try to get people to click on it. Phenomenal journalism as usual, but this article continues. CD Projekt Red is not without its scandals either. GOG, a CD Projekt owned distributor, and then they go through the tweets. You know what I'm talking about. The "did you just assume their gender" joke that did not go over well with a lot of people, and they, again, very interestingly, don't actually mention that the specific person, the specific employee at CD Projekt Red was let go over these tweets. But I'm going to ignore this whole section because I think you guys already know where this is all going. But they do say there has been questions about CD Projekt Red's potential bigotry, which was then met by impassioned defenses of even the smallest criticisms. Even outside of social media presence, CD Projekt Red is not a great company. The company has an abysmal record when it comes to overwork and crunch culture, which if we're judging companies based on that metric, I guess you probably hate most of this industry, whether that be Naughty Dog, Rockstar Games, and many other companies. Obviously, that is a major issue, a major problem that does need to be addressed. I've openly said that numerous times before, but come on. It seemed like CDPR was trying to improve, if not eliminate, its crunch problems. However, even the minor improvement was not meant to last. Since Cyberpunk 2077's release date has been delayed, CDPR has told investors that the development team will be required to put in crunch hours, although again, that's another huge overblown situation which we do not even know the full extent of it, or really any details at all. It's just a lot of speculation going around. Now, this article finally concludes with CD Projekt Red is a corporation, and it will do what corporations do. It's not a scrappy underdog or a indie studio working on a passion project. Their goal is to make money. Yes, something that openly CD Projekt Red has said, even in their secret message that they put in the E3 2019 trailer, they said that they are not a charity. They are trying to make money, but they have been very, very honest compared to most of this AAA gaming industry. But again, let's just ignore all of that. This could mean that they'll make jokes to attract the alt-right gamer demographic or overwork their employees to keep labor costs down and meet a deadline. No one needs to make it easier for them by doing free PR work. I got a lot of messages about this article, and it's just laughable. This is gaming journalism in 2020, and this is going to be the next number of months, unfortunately. It seems like every few weeks there's another hit piece thrown at CD Projekt Red, and this one is pretty darn misleading, full of just basic misinformation, tons of lies, and it's a pathetic attempt to attack CD Projekt Red's image. Obviously, they've made mistakes, they've been called out for it. I've done it myself, but this article it ignores so much of the good that they've actually done for this gaming industry. And the reason why they made this article how it is and why it's written in this way is to drum up outrage. And of course, I'm going to fight back against pieces like this because they unfortunately make an image out of CD Projekt Red to be this horrendous, horrible company, which that's not the reality. But regardless, this is the current state of gaming journalism. Like right now, there's these articles being spread around. Cyberpunk 2077 will have around 75 street story side quests. Now, why is this a problem? Because that's a lie. That never was actually said by a CD Projekt Red employee. You want to know who actually found that out? It was a YouTuber, I believe it was the Neon Arcade, contacted CDPR's community manager, and they confirmed that that's fake news, but this has been spread with no correction from outlets like PC Gamer, VG247, and other outlets. But let's continue on because this perfectly paves into my next news topic, and that is IGN spreading misinformation and lies. So some of you may have seen this headline, Epic Games boss says all politics should be removed from games. This was met with a lot of reactions, a lot of people, bashing Epic Games. But the problem is, that's not actually what the CEO said. This isn't even about if Tim Sweeney's opinion is right or wrong. This is just lies IGN spread. Clickbait lies. Epic Games founder and CEO Tim Sweeney says politics should be removed from game companies. That was the correction that they ended up making, but less than a day later, they ended up, going against their correction. They published a video saying Epic Games CEO Tim Sweeney has argued to keep politics out of gaming altogether. He never said that. And keep gaming companies neutral avenues where developers can sell games. This is misinformation. I said this before with the whole Cyberpunk 2077 outrage and the article we just went over. This is the current state of gaming journalism. This is basic misinformation, and Tim Sweeney even actually called this out. But I actually did ask Tim Sweeney for his opinion on this specific matter a little bit further. I said that he probably should elaborate on these remarks because this certainly seems like a let's please be neutral gaming corporations because we don't want to address that we're appeasing horrible human rights violating countries that silence opposition, like Activision Blizzard did with the whole Hong Kong Blitzchung situation. And Tim Sweeney responded saying, the intention is the opposite. If companies take the principled stance that they don't interfere with the speech of users and their ecosystem or have very clear established and adjudicated rules, then they immunize themselves against such influences. Whereas if companies engage in politics as marketing or make ad hoc decisions about user speech, then it becomes very hard for them to resist censorious influences and very hard for the general public to deduce their policies or motives. Now, what I will say, this is an opinion that a lot of people will get behind. And Tim Sweeney basically was arguing that keep politics out of gaming companies, maybe they stay neutral no matter. Let employees, let probably the games, and let people playing the games voice their opinions however they want, but gaming companies stay neutral. That's not exactly a very radical or extreme position. That is something that a lot of people would get behind, but it'll never happen. It's way too late for anything like that to happen, or for any of these gaming companies to get behind that position, especially being how some of these AAA gaming companies really do like using politics to try and sell their games, although it does seem to backfire most of the time. But another problem I will mention, just because this is Tim Sweeney of Epic Games, remember that Epic Games is owned, I believe, 48% by Chinese giant corporation Tencent, so Tim Sweeney taking this position, probably not very surprising, and I'm sure that he would love to not actually have to face criticism or questions about Tencent's possible influence over Epic Games, something that a lot of people have been discussing for the last number of years, and also there's been a lot of concerns raised about that. But gaming companies taking a neutral stance, not a radical approach or position, but it'll never happen, way too late. Finally though, we move on to our last news topic of the day, and this is actually going to circle back to Activision Blizzard in a way, but this is an article coming via Polygon. Mass Effect lead writer Drew Karpyshyn, I believe I said that right, he joins ex-BioWare veterans at new Wizards of the Coast studio. And some of these names maybe you'll recognize, but Karpyshyn worked at BioWare for more than 18 years and is joining his former colleagues James Olin and Chad Robertson at Archetype. And James Olin, if I remember correctly, he was a creative director, lead designer at BioWare for over 20 years. Chad Robertson, if you remember infamously just a number of months ago, he was the head of BioWare's live services and left after giving enormous praise and was trying to say that Anthem had a future. Anyway, Drew Karpyshyn actually had some very interesting remarks about what has happened to current day BioWare, and I think this is actually relevant to what's actually happening to Blizzard Entertainment. He said on his personal blog, "When I started at BioWare, everything was fresh and exciting. It was a dream job. Talented people working together to create epic games like Baldur's Gate, KOTOR, Mass Effect, and Dragon Age. But as we grew and became more successful, things changed. We became more corporate. We were less able to make what we loved, and the teams were pushed to create games based on market research rather than our creative instincts and passions. My dream job became just a job, and I lost the enthusiasm and an excitement I once had." So here's the deal, this is not an exclusive problem to EA BioWare, the modern day version of BioWare that is responsible for games like Mass Effect Andromeda and Anthem. This is a problem that is, well, we're seeing it right now with Blizzard Entertainment. Cultures are changing and corporate influences are taking over. I believe I mentioned this in a recent upload, but leadership does matter and people or talent are not replaceable. And that's really what this former BioWare veteran exposes. He pretty much tells us something that we all already knew, and that is that current day EA BioWare has not been the same since the founders of the company left in late 2012. The corporate EA culture has taken over and it has ruined what BioWare once was. And the same could be said about Blizzard Entertainment. Since Mike Morhaime left, and I believe about a year or two ago now, the company has just not been the same and it will never be the same. Corporate Activision has taken over, and we're probably going to be saying the same thing with other companies in the future, sadly. Thinking about it more, I don't think that there's ever been a moment in this AAA gaming industry where corporate influence has actually benefited game development, creativity, or innovation. All it has done is create a lot of problems, and this is a problem that this entire AAA gaming industry is faced with. But anyway, let me know your thoughts down in the comment section below for all the gaming news that we went over today. But thank you for watching. Make sure to leave a like if you did enjoy this video or if you found any informative value, and make sure to follow my other social media accounts for updates on new videos. Links are always down in the description below. I'm most active on Twitter, giving opinions on news that I do not always get into video form, so do make sure to follow me over there. Also check out my Discord for all sorts of discussion on games. And again, thank you for joining. Consider subscribing for more videos like this, and I'll see you later.